For a conspiracy to exist, there has to be three factors. One, two parties who agree to be in secret about committing evil. It's simply that. Those three things. There have been many conspiracies throughout history, proven conspiracies. For many years, it was a conspiracy that the Nazis were carting away the Jews into concentration camps and killing them and burning them in ovens. It was a conspiracy theory that later was proven to be simply just a conspiracy. In most cases, history has taught the conspirators to be crafty, and they conceal their crimes by ridiculing those who would charge them or accuse them of wrongdoing, calling them conspiracy theorists, governments calling people conspiracy theorists, news organizations taking the side of the government or the accused conspirator. This is due to, on large part, due to Project Mockingbird, which grew out of the 1950s to control the mainstream media, movies, television, radio, and newsprint, via large sums of money funneled into journalists, news organizations, producers, and the like, screenwriters, and stories have been written that later somehow actually come to pass. You say, how could they have known? My goodness, what a coincidence. No, it was predictive programming. In essence, a conspiracy to give suggestions, subliminal suggestions, so that society will react a certain way to future events. That's what it's used for. Subliminal seduction is used to allure people to buy products, where they put sex in advertising and subliminal messages, which are outlawed since 1958, but of course are still prevalent. This truth is again occulted and looked at as a conspiracy theory. GMO foods are healthy. Vaccines are good for you. Big pharma drugs killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. It's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. What's the conspiracy is trying to cover up the truth. Now here's Frank Church and the CIA congressional hearings regarding Project Mockingbird and controlling the media.
It's a matter of return. That planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. And we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Project Mockingbird, it still exists. It's necessary for them to continue their crimes without you paying attention to them. To continue to take away your rights, to keep you free. Any secrets concealed between two parties for an evil purpose is a conspiracy. Now, when we speak about predictive programming, the CIA writing scripts and publications, here's a doozy. There are many examples of Operation Mockingbird predictive programming, and here is the most blatant. On March 4th, 2001, a 12-episode short-lived drama premiered on Fox titled The Lone Gunman. It was a spin-off of The X-Files. The name was derived from the lone gunman theory of the JFK assassination. Now again, this is back to the concept of sort of stroking the conspiracy theorists while ridiculing them and discrediting them. Classic COINTELPRO. Although historically proven that many conspiracies have and do exist, the media push to embrace and at the same time discredit the fact that conspiracies do exist leads most to dismiss any real discussion or debate of conspiracies, even when we know they do indeed exist. The CIA uses a term for this. It is called a slide response.
How about a new age of invading your customers' privacy?
Sir, are you sure you're on the right tour?
Yeah, why don't you tell us about that Octium 4 chip you're developing?
Well, the Octium 4 is our latest high-speed processor. It's capable of 6.8 gigaflops. That's nearly 7 billion calculations per second.
I mean, tell us the truth. How the Octium is secretly designed to keep tabs on the users.
Described as counterculture patriots, Richard Ringo Langley, Melvin Frohike, and John Fitzgerald Byers had recurring roles on the X-Files. The group were ardent conspiracy theorists, government watchdogs, and computer hackers who frequently assisted central X-Files characters Mulder and Scully, though they sometimes had their own adventures. Despite good reviews and loyal fan following, the show was canceled, supposedly due to a drop in ratings. The last episode aired in June 2001. The Lone Gunman pilot began with Byers' father faking his death to uncover a conspiracy to, believe it or not, hijack an airliner and crash it into the World Trade Center.
If some terrorist group wants to act out this scenario, why target you for assassination?
Depends on who your terrorists are.
The men who conceived of it in the first place. You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. Indicting the entire government as usual. It's a faction. A small faction.
For what possible gain?
The Cold War's over, John. But with no clear enemy to stockpile against, the arms market's flat. But bring down a fully loaded 727 into the middle of New York City, and you'll find a dozen tin pot dictators all over the world just clamoring to take responsibility and begging to be smart bombed.
I can't believe it. This is about increasing arms sales.
Mm-hmm.
When?
Tonight?
How are you going to stop them?
Atlantic National announces your final boarding call for flight 512.
Luggage hole's clear if this thing can be trusted. What'd you do, make it with your erector set?
You're absolutely sure that this is the targeted flight?
This flight was chosen primarily for its visibility. It's scheduled to pass over Manhattan on its way to Boston.
You said they intend to bring us down in the middle of New York City? What if there is no bomb?
Well, how are they going to bring it down?
I need you to hack into the aircraft's onboard navigation system. We need to know where we're headed.
Okay, go into headsets.
I'll clone the airphone's carrier. Make them think we're sending a ground air fax.
That's one twisted star 69.
I'll just get ready to ride the wave, hippie boy.
Just get me on that plane and I'll get you autopilot access.
How are you going to do that?
Airline telemetry systems use processors similar to those found in CB radios.
I'm in. We got ourselves a convoy.
What's your progress?
I've hacked into the flight control system output.
With a little bit of help.
It's what the brains of the plane is telling the little black box.
Course, heading, attitude, hold, yaw, axis, stabilization. What the heck's that?
Is that what it looks like?
I think it is what it looks like.
What does what look like?
Modem protocols. Remote access. Somebody on the ground's flying your plane.
Bogey, sir.
Keep your course. Move into our flight plan.
I'm mapping the data now.
Myers, your flight's gonna make an unscheduled stop in exactly 22 minutes.
Corner of Liberty and Washington. Lower Manhattan.
World Trade Center. I'm going to crash the plane into the World Trade Center.
All right, try cutting electrical power.
They've thought of that. They've thought of everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing some technical difficulties up here. At this time, we'd like you all to return to your seats.
And kiss your asses goodbye.
Finally, we're getting close.
I know.
We've got manual override.
Get to the FBI, we'll go public. With your testimony, we can break this conspiracy wide open.
You're a brave man, John.
You're not going to testify. You're going to let them cover this up.
They almost killed me twice. They won't fail a third time. My silence will keep me alive. And you. I know you and your friends are fighting for the American dream. Just don't expect to win.
The concept of Operation Northwoods and the many, many, many pieces that do not fit on 9/11 leads to only one conclusion: that there was and is a conspiracy to cover up the events of 9/11, to cover up the events of Benghazi, to cover up the events of Fast and Furious. Let us also not forget the IRS scandal and the targeting of journalists for a greater agenda, for the craft. They're building something, ladies and gentlemen. What they're building is a new world order.